Today, we're diving into a really fascinating psychological puzzle. Why is it that two people can be given the exact same task with the exact same goal, and yet approach it in completely different ways? Well, the answer lies in a powerful framework that reveals the hidden forces driving our actions. Okay, so picture this. You ask someone to complete a simple task. The goal seems totally straightforward, right? But what if I told you that the way they go about it can reveal a hidden, powerful motive that changes, well, everything? Let's look at a real-world example that shows exactly how this works. So to really get a grip on this, we're going to look at this fascinating study that came out of Brazil. Researchers were watching mothers help their kids with a simple puzzle copying task, and what they found was incredibly revealing. The study was looking at two very different groups: middle-class mothers who had formal education and rural mothers who were much more familiar with manual labor. Now, the key here wasn't just that they acted differently, but how their approaches revealed something much, much deeper about their motivations. So the middle-class moms, they were consistently using these broad, strategic kinds of statements. They weren't just zeroed in on getting the puzzle done. They were actively trying to teach their child a reusable skill, a way of thinking that they could use on other tasks down the road. But then you had the rural mothers, and it was a totally different story. They used very direct, very concrete commands. Their guidance was all about getting the job done efficiently and, importantly, without making any mistakes. It wasn't about some general strategy. It was about doing this specific job perfectly. So what is going on here? You've got the same puzzle, a kid who needs help, but completely different ways of guiding them. See, the answer isn't in the puzzle pieces at all. It comes down to one single powerful, invisible force that shaped absolutely everything, and that's their motive. So, what even is a motive? Well, you can think of it as the why behind everything we do. It's like the lens we're looking through when we approach any situation or any task. It's not just a goal. It's the fundamental need, whether it's social or biological, that's driving the whole activity. And boom, that's it. That solves the whole puzzle, right? The middle-class mothers had what we'd call a pedagogic motive. Their goal was to teach. The rural mothers had a labor motive. Their goal was to complete a job efficiently, because in their world, mistakes can be really costly. Different motives turn the exact same task into two completely different activities. So this whole thing, it's not just some quirky one-off observation, it's actually the core principle of a really influential framework from educational psychology, and it's called activity theory. Okay, so let's dig into this. Activity theory, it's built on the ideas of the famous psychologist Lev Vygotsky. And the big idea here is that learning is super social. It says our motives don't just, nudge our actions a little bit. They fundamentally determine the nature of the activity we're engaged in. To put it super simply, your motive changes everything. The task itself, the puzzle, that's just an object. The motive is the engine. It's what transforms a set of instructions into a living, breathing activity, whether that's an act of teaching, an act of labor, or, even an act of play. Okay, so how does this whole theory actually work in practice? Well, activity theory is defined by a few core principles that make it such a great way to look at why people do what they do. Okay, first up, it's transformative. That just means it's not about a static snapshot. It's all about how things change and evolve. Second, it's multi-voiced. This is a cool one. It basically expects that you're going to have different points of view, and sometimes conflict is just as normal as teamwork. Third, it's activity-centric. The focus is on the shared activity, not just one individual. And finally, it knows that no activity happens in a vacuum. They're all interconnected. But here's where it gets really interesting. These motives, these activities, they're not set in stone. Not at all. In fact, they can be surprisingly fluid. Just think about this for a second. A student might start some school project thinking, oh, this is just a fun game, right? Their motive is play. But then, partway through, a light bulb goes off. They realize they're actually learning something really cool. And just like that, their motive can shift from play to learning, and the whole nature of the activity transforms for them right in that moment. All right, so a theory from psychology. Why should you care? What does this mean for you in your day-to-day life? Well, because once you start looking for the motive behind things, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's why that one-size-fits-all approach to teaching or training so often falls flat. It helps a manager figure out why two people on their team are tackling the exact same project in totally different ways. One might see it as a chance to be creative, while the other just sees it as a box they have to check. Understanding their motives is the key. And honestly, it really helps us get a handle on ourselves by making us ask why we do the things we do. So, next time you're about to jump into anything new, a project at work, a new workout routine, maybe even a tricky conversation, I want you to pause just for a second and ask yourself one incredibly simple but powerful question. What is the real motive here? Are you trying to learn something, just get it done, impress someone, or maybe connect with somebody? Because figuring out that hidden why, well, that's not just going to change how you look at the task, it is going to fundamentally change the task itself.
So, if you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video, and share this video with your classmates, teachers, and friends. Thank you all for your input. Let's keep this process efficient and on track.